Welcome back, guys, to the Futbal Biz podcast. As always, I am Graysen Mortimer, and I am joined today by, none other than the guy who shares a name with the potential West Ham reject, Evan McGuire.
Yep. Good to be back.
Anyway, oh yeah, of course. Anyways, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some transfer news, per usual. When it's the summer, that's the busy time for it. And we're going to start off with a big one here. It is Neymar to Al Hilal. He is leaving from PSG. I believe the fee was in the range of 80 to 90 million. I mean, it's going to Saudi. It's not like they really care about their financials whatsoever.
Nope.
This makes him the first player to be uh, combined over 300 million pounds worth of transfer fees. That is absolutely insane. I'm personally not a big fan of this transfer, though. I don't think it's the right move for him. I don't think he's going to struggle in the league. I mean, the league's going to be a piece of cake for him, but he's one that I think had a bit more in the tank for Europe. I really do. He's only 31. Even if it wasn't with PSG, I think the Premier League had plenty of potential suitors, as well as I know some people they thought Barcelona wasn't going to be them. They're too broke, but I think he had some more time in Europe. Not a huge fan of this transfer.
Yeah, this is really a waste of his career overall. I feel like he more than likely, I think he should have just stayed at Barcelona to begin with, because ever since he transferred to PSG, it's really just kind of gone downhill slightly. Like, I mean, the only reason why he left was to kind of get out of Messi's shadow, but like even so doing that, it didn't really help him all that much. He only has one Champions League to his name. I mean, he when it comes to the World Cup or bringing home really any international trophy, he hasn't really done much except for bringing home like one Copa America. So like again,
No, he wasn't even
it's
in the squad for that one.
oh he wasn't. Oh
No,
shoot. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, then
he
that's what I'm
won the
saying.
he won the Olympics, which
Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
Brazil
he won
team
that. I
that
know
Brazil
that.
team is loaded. I mean, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Barbosa, I mean Neymar. I mean that attack was potent, but yeah, I mean he hasn't had any international success really. Yeah, because the one Copa America they did win, I think it was in 2019. I want to say Neymar was injured. Dani Alves was the captain for that Brazil team, and he's the one that lifted the trophy. Wasn't
Oh,
Neymar.
damn, yeah, that's right. I thought he was still included, maybe as like a sub or whatever.
Nope, nope, he
Damn.
wasn't
Okay.
even in the
Well,
squad.
getting back to that, then yeah, just really an Olympic medal to his name. That's not that amazing. I think he just joins now another line of Brazilian players that could have had the potential to be all-time greats, but they kind of just withered out.
Yeah. And even comparing him to a guy like Kaká, who is often seen as a potential waste of potential. Um, Kaká won a Ballon d'Or with in that season with AC Milan, where he was insane. He won a Champions League. Obviously, he wasn't great at Madrid, but in the end of the day, I still would take prime Kaká over prime Neymar in this instance. Neymar's prime lasted about 2 years at Barcelona, and then it was all a complete waste after going to Paris. He went from being in Messi's shadow to being in Mbappe's shadow.
Yeah.
And he's what is, in my opinion, a massive could have been. Neymar
Yeah.
could have easily been. He had the potential to be a top at least 20 player of all time. He had
Yeah.
the
He
potential.
he is the prince, which never became king. Just put it that way.
Yeah. He was at one point viewed as the third best player in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo, which is a massive honor. But yeah, his career's gone south. I mean, it all went south with that decision to go to PSG. He should have absolutely stayed at Barcelona. That's where he would have remained uberly successful with Messi and Suarez. In the end of the day, his greed kind of screwed him over in many ways. And now he's going to Saudi. I don't see him going back to Europe after that. I see him going to MLS, frankly.
Yeah, he even said that too.
He's getting his bag now, and then he's gonna go to America where he loves it and will retire, frankly. So wasted career if you're Neymar. But that's all I really got to say about that.
Yeah, Sam, I got nothing else to say either. Just very disappointing. I remember his hype going back to like 2014 World Cup when it was in Brazil. I mean, all the hype around him trying to carry them to the title, and then obviously he got injured. Obviously, he came back from that, and then he won the Champions League the next year. But still, even after that, it was never really the same.
No, he wasn't. And I'm personally not really a big fan of him. I think he's a complete whining baby. But regardless, as a football fan, I am sad to see this, but it is what it is. But yeah, taking that, moving on to our next transfer. This one a little more positive for the footballing community, and that is David Raya going to Arsenal. The fee was around 20 million, I want to say, and I think this is a great signing for Arsenal. Ramsdale, I think, has become a little complacent. I think a lot of fans believe he has been. He's still a great keeper, and he still played phenomenally. But Matt Turner was a great backup, but I don't think challenged Ramsdale as much as people had hoped. Raya, proven number one for Brentford. Guy's an absolute stud. I think he's going to push Ramsdale to the brink, and Aaron's got to be careful because if Raya, is looking good in practice and training, and Ramsdale makes a mistake, we could easily see the number one jersey change for Arsenal there.
Yeah, no, agree with that. He was fantastic with Brentford. Watching some of his games, I mean, being able to help promote them up to the Premier League as well, boss in that. And then even then, he had a decent stint as well, which I believe it was Blackburn. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, he's a proven number one. He's in the Spain squad. He was in the Spain squad for the World Cup over the likes of Kepa and De Gea. So clearly, Spain has rated him too, and he's going to Arsenal. I mean, I think it'll be a good transfer. I'm going to give this one a solid 8. I think it's pretty high upside for Raya, and making that goalkeeper room a bit more competitive. I'm giving Neymar a solid 0. I mean, I've already said what I had to about him, but I'm just giving him a 0. But yeah, moving on
Hmm.
from Raya to our next transfer is Nicolo Zaniolo, and this one's a bit interesting. This guy was very hyped when he was at Roma. He was one of the brightest Italian prospects out there. Then he moved to Galatasaray, and now he is going on loan to Aston Villa with an option to buy for around 30 million pounds. I mean, this is a very low risk move. It's a loan deal, so I mean, really, they can gauge how good he is. I think it's kind of a statement that says Philippe Coutinho has been a complete bust, which I know that may hurt you as a Liverpool fan to hear that, but Coutinho's been a bust. I mean, he's not been good for Villa. Zaniolo potentially could come in and fill that attacking midfield type of role.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Coutinho hasn't been good really since the end of the 21-22 season. Didn't really make a shout last season. He hasn't really been seen so far this season. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. And then watching that first game against Newcastle, they just got torn apart, I think, through the defense and midfield. They desperately need something going forward, or else, they could be fighting relegation.
I don't think they'll be fighting relegation, but I mean, it was a very poor performance. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few. But yeah, Zaniolo, low risk buy. I'll just give it a solid 7. I mean, he's a player with a lot of upside. He's had some attitude issues in the past, but I think he'll be one that Emery will be able to get the best out of. But
Yeah, he's on
moving
the
on,
younger side. Yeah,
he
he's
is.
he's on the younger side.
I
Yeah,
believe he's around 25. If
he's
I, if
he's
I
24. Yeah.
24. Okay. Yeah, he's a good player. I think seven's a fair deal for this one. But moving on from him to our next transfer, that is Mary Demriel leaving Atalanta for Al Ali in the Saudi league. Unlike Neymar, this one makes a little bit more sense. He had a couple decent years for Atalanta. He was a solid center back for them. I got to see him play. Formerly of Juventus as well, Turkish international. He's nearing 30. He's getting up there. But I mean, he really didn't have that much more to offer in Europe. I mean, Atalanta's a good squad. Don't get me wrong. I do have a good soft spot for them as a bunch of my friends are supporters of that team. But I mean, he's one that they can find a replacement.
Yeah, no, he's only 25, so I'm kind of shocked now that he's like
Is he only
making the move.
25? Oh, I thought he was
Yeah,
older than that.
no, he's only 25, so just I guess, just going for the money again, like most are, it seems.
Yeah, in that case, I'm gonna change my complete tone on this. That's not a good transfer. Not for his career. But in the end of the day, he's going to get paid, and There's not really much more you can ask. I mean, yeah, 25, not great. I mean, Atalanta's had some good center backs in the past. They also had Christopher Romero in the more recent future, but or more recent past. But yeah, I thought Demriel was older. I must be thinking of a different player, but yeah, not a great transfer in that case. But hey, you only have so long to play football. I guess he's chasing the bag
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia.
Well, at least also with Juventus, I mean, they're gonna collect a lump sum from the sell-on fee, so good on them, I guess.
Yeah, they'll take it. I think Atalanta will take it too, clearly, as they're letting him go. But
Mm,
moving on from that one to we're gonna kind of include these two as kind of a package deal. But the first one being Moises Caicedo, and the second one being Romeo Lavia. Chelsea spending absolutely absurd amounts of money on both of these guys, combined about 180 mil, which is insane. I mean, Caicedo alone is 135 million dollars in U.S. dollars, and Lavia is in the range of 60 to 70. I mean, these guys are good players. Don't get me wrong. Liverpool was looking at both of them. Chelsea managed to sign them both, which one I think would have been enough, but both. Uh, I mean, it's a crowded midfield now with the likes
yeah.
of Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, and other guys that they have a bunch of youth players. They bought Medeweke's in there too. And then secondly, it's going to take these guys time to gel, and frankly, it's just absurd.
Ugh, I don't even know where to start, to be fair. I could vent about how we've managed to let both of them go, but at the same time, there's also some positives. I mean, we don't really necessarily have to break the bank. We just need to buy somebody, but to really see Lavia go, that's the one that hurts the most, I'd say, because who are we gonna go for now, really? But that's another story. Point is, when it comes to Chelsea, they're just I don't know how to say it. I don't want to rant and put my bias in about them taking our players and whatnot, but when is financial fair play gonna kick in? Like they've spent like what now, over 1 billion in the past three
Yep.
transfer windows. But like you can say, like, oh sure, they've sold off all these players, but at the same time, when it comes to the net spend, it's still through the roof nonetheless.
Yeah, it is, and a lot of people were ragging on City for spending £1 billion under Guardiola's tenure, but he's been there for a while. I mean, we're talking like in the span of a year that Chelsea has spent this money. City it was at least across 4 or 5 years. They spent a lot, but they also sold a bunch of guys too in that span. A lot of youth players. Chelsea, this seems to all be in one window. And unlike City, Chelsea's had past FFP violations. They had them under Roman. They had that uh, 2-year transfer ban, which led to guys like Mason Mount becoming relevant. Um, I do think that this is gonna get looked at by somebody. I don't see it getting swept under the rug. I mean, this is obvious spending.
Yeah, surely.
It's not like cities where I mean, it took
No
football
doubt.
leaks for them to find out that City had financial breaches. Chelsea, I mean, they spent £1 billion.
Yeah,
That's
they did. They
in
did.
one window. They spent it in one window. That's insane. They've had I think three
Three
hundred
windows.
million dollar
Yeah.
players in Mudrick, Enzo, and now Caicedo. I mean, this is unheard of. This
Yeah,
is unprecedented money.
I don't think really Bowley has necessarily planned this out. He's just looking to throw money at it in hopes that like it'll come to fruition because again, what makes them think that this is going to change anything from last season? I mean, they were 12th. They're now out of Europe. I mean, I don't even think they're going to really compete for a domestic cup necessarily because City are usually all over them. If not, maybe Man United because they still are trying to find their way back, I guess.
I'd
Like, I
even
mean,
give you
they've
guys a
only,
show too. Like you guys
yeah,
prioritize cups as well.
yeah. Well, we can get into Liverpool another day, but point being, what makes them think that spending all this money is going to change anything? Like, just throwing money at players isn't necessarily going to be like how do I put this? Necessarily form a complete team because you can throw money at it, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get the results back, and even then signing them to these extended contracts as well. What happens if they want to leave, whatnot, or like you want to make any more changes?
Yeah.
You're just putting money down the drain, and really you can, like even then you could probably put the club into bankruptcy, maybe even liquidate them, because we've seen that before. Other clubs where they went down under, where they don't know how to balance their budgets. So does Boldy necessarily actually have a plan? Especially spending all that money specifically on Caicedo, like 115 million pounds. I mean, fair play to Brighton. They made massive profit off of that, I guess. Only buying him for 4 million, and now they have 111 million profit. But again, we can talk about Brighton another time. This is Chelsea still. At the same time, like, how do you know that this is gonna pan out?
They don't. That's the thing. They have no clue. I mean, it's not making American businessmen look good. And I mean, they've had a whole terrible reputation already with the Premier League. I mean, Fenway Sports Group has had its problems. Stan Kroenke for Arsenal has had its problems. The Glazers have had their problems. I mean, it's Bully's just taken that to an extreme. I mean, has he been involved? You can't say he hasn't been. He's been super involved, but he doesn't have a concrete plan. He's just been spending, and that's all I see them doing. So I mean, we'll see what comes of Chelsea soon. But as for the deals individually, I'm going to give Caicedo an 8. Despite the fee, I do think he's going to be a good player for Brighton. Not for Brighton. He was a good player for Brighton. A good player for Chelsea. Lavia, I'm going to give a 5 because, one, he's going to have a little more trouble getting into the side.
Yeah,
Two, to be quite honest, he should have gone to Liverpool. I mean,
yeah,
that defensive midfield role is gaping in your team right now. They
yes,
need a defensive
you're
midfielder,
right.
and Lavia could have been that guy, and I think he should have been that guy. Liverpool agreed deals with both of these teams,
Mm-hmm.
both Brighton and Southampton. In the end of the day, it was the player's decision.
Yeah.
And Caicedo, I think he had his heart set on Chelsea since the beginning. I don't blame him. But Lavia should have gone to Liverpool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and let me just add something too. He was gonna come here until the Caicedo deal went down, because I think that's what really put him off from us. Because like it just came out really the other day that he wants to join Chelsea now over us. Like I said, I think he saw us going for Caicedo, and we didn't really think he was that serious trying to come here. So we kind of just fluffed him off, and just because we did that, he went to Chelsea instead just to spite us. I feel
Yeah,
like also,
it's
I guess,
it's
for the
quite
better
possible.
pay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite possible. So yeah, but anyways, moving on from those deals, we'll see how they pan out for Chelsea. We're gonna go with a bit of a strange one, and this is the one out of all of these that I really did not see coming, and this is a name that we haven't really heard in a long time, and that is Marco Arnautovic is going from Bologna to Inter Milan for about 10 million pounds. I mean, I saw him play last year for Bologna against Atalanta. He's been actually okay in the Serie A. He was formerly of Stoke and West Ham, and he went to China for a little bit. Then the Chinese league crashed, and he found a home in Bologna. He's played pretty well. He's This is a very short term deal for Inter Milan as they try to find a striker after getting pushed away by Lakaka. And they found a short term replacement. I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's a world beating striker. But if he scores 10 goals in Serie A this year, I say that's a success.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough with this. I personally can't really say much about him. I have not heard that name in a long time. Probably not since like the Euros, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, yeah, I mean, he's still decent. He's getting up there in age now. He's well above 30. I forget how old he is exactly,
34.
but is he 34? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's decent. He's still decent. I mean, they found an old ageless time wonder in Edin Dzeko, so I guess that's Inter's strategy. When they get rebuffed by Big Rom, they find an old guy to replace him, and that's what they've done with Arnautovic. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a solid 7. I think it's a decent deal, but I mean, not an all-star by any means, but one that I think will be an underrated signing. Um, yeah, that's all I really got to say about that one.
Yeah, it's a reasonable fee. Low risk, low reward, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But we got two more deals to talk about, then a couple rumors. The first of which is Kepa getting loaned to Real Madrid. Now, the reason this happened is because Thibaut Courtois did tear his ACL. He's out for the season, which I think is a massive loss for Real Madrid. He's one of their most important players. Keeps keeps them in games way more often than he should. But as far as the replacement goes, I think this is a great deal. I mean, Chelsea, he was on the outs. He is a Spanish player, and I think Madrid is a good fit for him as a short term option. I mean, he's starting for one of the biggest teams in the world, if not the biggest team in the world, and it's a loan, so it's extremely low risk. If he's trash for the whole season, he just doesn't stay. It's that simple. So I'm going to give this deal actually a 10. I mean, it,
Wow.
it's one that really I think a lot of people are kind of brushing aside. A lot of people are saying Madrid should have signed De Gea. I completely disagree with that because if you sign De Gea for a 2 or 3 year deal, Courtois comes back. This deal to me says Kepa is our short term guy. Courtois is still our keeper, and it's a move from Madrid that to me says we respect the hell out of our goalkeeper and everything that he's done to the point where he's still going to be our keeper when he comes back. That's why I give it a 10.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that too. It's kind of like the same situation with Neuer when Bayern brought in Sommer. Like
Yeah,
they don't, yeah, exactly. Like they still obviously know that Neuer is their guy, but they still need someone that can, still pick up, you know, just pick up the pace and just carry on until the end of the season. And that did still bode well for them. I mean, they still won the league by the skin of their teeth, but nonetheless still won the league. He was able to hold it down.
yeah,
So I think with this, if Madrid have a bit more of a slump of a season, I mean, they'll still be back anyway. They can just sell off Kepa to whoever, or yeah, they can
send him
just
back
get
to Chelsea.
yeah. Well, not sell
Yeah,
him off. I was trying to think of the right word. Just bring him back to Chelsea. Chelsea can figure it out anyway, because we all know that they love to throw out players, bring in new ones. So they'll I'm guessing they'll have something for that plan anyway. But being back to Madrid, if they have a down season, they'll be okay. They'll come back anyway with Courtois. So yeah, I also rate that. I'd say a 9.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean he's a decent player too. He's not like he's the worst keeper. He was one of the bright spots in Chelsea's terrible season last year. So I'm gonna say Kepa is a good transfer. And as for Jan Sommer, he went to Inter, so now he's found a more permanent home too. So yeah, our final confirmed transfer that we are going to talk about is one that personally filled me with joy. It filled Hunter with even more joy, and that is the fact that Harry Kane has left Spurs. He's gone. He's gotten out of that hell. He is now a Bayern Munich player. They accepted the deal for over 110 mil. Kane decided to leave England, which I think was the perfect decision for him. He's going to Bayern. He'll probably win a league title. He's probably going to win a trophy, something that he can't say yet. And I think he'll score a load of goals too. I expect him to personally score at least 30 in all competitions this season. I mean, he scored 30 last year in just the Prem alone. So Kane's finally left Tottenham. I'm gonna give this a 10 as well. I mean, I'm throwing on around tens today. Harry Kane's a world class player. He's the one player on England that isn't overhyped, in my opinion, and Jude Bellingham as well. But Harry Kane is that guy, and he's going to do wonders for Bayern Munich, who have needed a striker since Lewandowski left.
Yeah, no, I agree with this. This is a great deal for both parties, I'd say. For Kane's sake, trying to win a trophy, although he could have already won one, but that did not bode well since Leipzig won. However, he still has a chance to finally win a league title. And what better club to go to than Bayern Munich because that league is a farmers league. 11 in a row, more than likely it should be 12 unless there is a Harry Kane curse and then somehow Dortmund win it. But who knows? I mean, he's free. He's free of Spurs. When you leave Spurs, you're guaranteed to win trophies. You, for one, should know that because Kyle Walker left and now he has trophies galore.
Well, Kyle
So no, I
Walker,
mean,
Gareth Bale,
yeah,
even Roberto Soldado, I think won the Europa League. um, but yeah, I mean Ericsson. There's been a lot of guys that have left Spurs and won trophies. So I'm really happy for Kane. I'm ecstatic that he's finally left Spurs, and man is just he needs to win something. So that'll do it for our confirmed transfers. We're now going to move into a couple rumors. The first one is Harry Maguire, your favorite player, favorite guy. Last name is similar.
No.
I know. Yeah, I know how much you would want him on Liverpool. But anyways,
Oh.
it has been reported that West Ham have called off their deal with Manchester United for him as the player was taking too long on the deal, which I thought Harry Maguire would have some smarts with a head that big,
I
but
thought he'd want to leave, yeah.
dear God, why are you taking so long, Harry? Why haven't you
Mm,
left? Manu has treated you like dirt since you got there.
yeah, for
Like,
real.
dude, just go to West Ham. West Ham is your level. I think he'd be a great West Ham player, but no, apparently he took
Yeah,
too
okay.
long, and he's now still at Manchester United.
I agree with that. I think it would have been good for both parties since he's not really getting as much playing time now as he used to. And even then, when he gets playing time, he somehow manages to mess up and gets criticized. And even then, Ten Hag has already been very open and negative about him being there. So why would you want to stay and tolerate that still? It's just gonna ruin your career. So like I would have honestly thought he would have accepted it. I mean, I think David Moyes, he has a thing for, getting players, trying to revive them and, get more out of them. I think it would have been great. I mean, we've already seen it with Lingard, what happened there. He
Yeah,
had a bit of a hmm?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good take.
Yeah, he was able to, revive his career a little bit, although that was only a loan deal, and then he got sent back to United. Now I don't even know what's happened to him now. But point being, with Harry Maguire, he could have went there and actually, maybe have been a very solid starter, and who knows, he actually may have played well, maybe under a better system and under a reasonably good coach.
Yeah, yeah, he could have done that, and for his sake, I hope he leaves. But
Yeah,
we
and
shall
let me
see.
just add to that more as well. He would have had less pressure because he's not playing for as big of a club. I mean, West
Yeah,
Ham, I mean, there's always the jokes about them being massive, but let's be real. They're not Manchester United level. He would have had, less pressure, less, I guess, how do I put it? Less mental stress of having to, put out, consistent 10 out of 10 performances, or even for his sake, 6 out of 10s.
yeah, no, for sure, and yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, he's one that should just go there, but he hasn't. But moving on from Slabhead, we are going to another player. This one is very talented. Is Michael Elise being rumored to go to Chelsea? I think that this would be an okay signing for Chelsea. Actually, he's been rumored around 30 mil, which I think is a good price for him. I've seen this guy play live twice. He is absolutely electric. I mean, he is fast. He's skilled. He can cross the ball, and he's even got the occasional world-beating goal in him. I mean, he's a good player. He is a phenomenal player. He's one that I think City should. I mean, they have looked at him, and I think he would do wonders at City as a replacement for Mahrez. But he's a good player, and if Chelsea are able to pull this off, I'd give it a good score.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember the free kick he had against Man United, which got them a
Yeah,
draw. But that was him, right? Yeah, yeah, that was him.
that was him.
That was a class goal anyway. So that's what I know him for. If that was to be added to Chelsea, maybe that would actually help them compete more and maybe get them back into, say, top six level.
Yeah, we'll see if he ends up going there. I hope he does. But I'd rather him go to City, so we'll see on that front. But yeah, he's a class player and one that I think is going to be good. And then our final rumor, and this one kind of makes me a little sad, but at the same time I can understand it. Yassine Bounou, Morocco's number one, has been linked with Saudi Arabia. He is 32. I could see it happening. He has the Islamic tie there, so I can understand it if he wants to go there. Um,
Yeah,
but he's an absolutely class keeper and one that just won the Europa League with Sevilla. So we'll see if he ends up going there. I think he will. I see this one happening, and he's a storied goalkeeper, but one that I think has proven himself enough to go to the Saudi league.
exactly. Earn that paycheck, and then even then, it's more near to where he is anyway. It's the same culture and all that too. So he'd fit right in there anyway. Makes sense. Make money, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll do it for our transfer biz this week. We are now going to move on to some games, which this is the first time we've talked about the Premier League in a few months. So I'm
We're
really
back.
happy with this. We are back. We are absolutely back. We're going to start off with the first game that happened, and that was Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal did win 2-1 with Bukayo Saka and Eddie Nketiah getting goals, as well as Taiwo Awoniyi for Nottingham Forest getting a late one. Matt Turner playing his old team. Arsenal looked great in the first half, not as great in the second. Bit of a nervy game for them in the second half, but they were able to get it done, and they started off their season with 3 points.
Yeah, no, I watched that game. They were actually really good in the first half. I mean, trying to think that Saka goal. Did he score? I'm trying to remember who scored right
He
now.
did. Yeah, Saka scored. It was
Yeah,
Saka
okay,
and
I was gonna
Nketiah.
say. And then the Nketiah goal was pretty good too, but no, that Saka goal, worldy rocket. But then they just kind of took their foot, off the pedal in the second half, and then Awani got on the scoreboard, and then even then trying to attack until the very last minute. It was a wake up call, let me just say, for Arsenal. It should tell them that that they have a lot of things to work on and that they shouldn't see themselves just directly back in the title race again. Because I still think Newcastle is going to be the one that challenges City more than Arsenal will.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of City, they had a great game in their first one. They had a really routine 3-0 win over Burnley at Burnley. Erling Haaland scoring twice. The first one being a traditional Haaland goal where it's crossed and he's just able to beat the defender there. Second one was an absolute worldie. It's a one-touch pass from Alvarez. He just takes it, spanks it off the crossbar and past the goalkeeper. And then Rodri gets another one in the second half. The unfortunate part of this game is Kevin De Bruyne did potentially tear his hamstring, which is a brutal injury that'll potentially require surgery. He'll be out. Pep Guardiola said around 4 months, which I think is probably about right. That reminds me of when Luka Modric tore his quad. He was out for about the same time period. Tough losses for City this, but I've said in the past and this week that there are players that I think are more important for City, not better necessarily, but more important. Which if Rodri got hurt, I would be very worried because Kevin, at least you got Phil Foden, Mateo Kovacic. If Rodri goes down, your backup's Calvin Phillips. That would terrify me. But or if Ederson went down, I mean that would be a big loss too. But yeah, that's a tough one, but City did get the routine win, and good news for our fantasy teams is both of us captained Erling Haaland.
Yeah, no, Haaland is back up and running. What a shocker. And he also scored the first two goals to open the Premier League season, which no other player has done. So that's a new record for him and for the league. But no, I was not able to watch this game sadly. But when I seen the highlights, that's that second goal, brilliant. Even Haaland was shocked himself when he scored that.
Yeah, he was. It was great, but yeah, Vincent Company. I think he had his team actually did look good for parts of this match. I did watch it. Burnley had some chances. Luca Koleosho particularly stood out for me. He's a player that I hope Canada's able to get, but I mean, right now he's playing for the Italy youth team. England could cap tie him. The United States could cap tie him. He's got a big decision to make there, but he was one of Burnley's bright spots. And frankly, I think they could go out and buy a striker, and that team would be actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Burnley had some attacking play.
yeah, I mean, I just want to add, it's kind of unfair to really judge Burnley. I mean, they're literally playing the reigning champions, the treble winners, so they only are just newly promoted. I mean, I think Company, he knows what he's doing. He'll have them, up and running soon enough.
Yeah, no, he will. I have the utmost confidence in Vincent Company, and frankly, I see him potentially if when Pep leaves, I see Company being a future Man City coach. So, but that's a topic for another day, maybe down the line a few years. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst match for Burnley. I mean, they lost 3-0, but losing 3-0 to Man City is no shame. Next game we're
Exactly.
going to talk about is Liverpool and Chelsea. They had a 1-1 draw. Luis Diaz scoring for Liverpool, Axel Disasi scoring for Chelsea, and it was from I didn't unfortunately watch it, but by all accounts, I heard it was a very entertaining game. A goal ruled out for each side, Mo Salah and Ben Chilwell. And yeah, that was a chaotic match by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think I for one will I'll be able to describe the game pretty well. First 20 minutes, Liverpool was all over. They looked like they were the better team. And then we finally were able to break through with that McAllister ball straight to Salah. And then he just slips in Luis Diaz to make it look really easy. 1-0 there. And that was a hard ball for Diaz to get to, but he just took it in with ease. And then right after that, it kind of fell apart a little bit. We were gonna go up 2-0. It looked like to me Salah was on, but apparently with the lines with his head just slightly more forward than the last defender, it was sadly called off. And then really after that, it just we kind of just fell apart. We conceded pretty much what I thought was a very soft goal. They were all on us, but like we just kind of gave up defending and then they got one back. And then we were lucky that Chilwell just played himself off just slightly because we really could have lost that game. And then obviously in the second half, then we had the handball shout, but apparently with the new rules, it's not a handball, which still kind of confuses me, but I'm not going to rant about that. Really, I think in the second half, we should have lost the game. We were very lucky to get away with a draw because even then it looked like Klopp just gave up because our bench was shocking. He took off Diaz for Ben Doak, and then I'm trying to remember what other sub he made. I can't remember, but the,
Yeah,
the
it's
one that
not too
really
relevant.
the one that really annoyed me was taking Diaz off for Ben Doak. Like, are you serious? This is what I'm gonna have to watch for the whole season. Like, please no.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and yeah, but it could be a worse start to the year. I mean, it got a funny reaction out of young Kippa, so I'm very much okay with that. But yeah, moving on from Chelsea, we're going to talk about Newcastle against Aston Villa. This game, I think, shocked a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah,
Newcastle scored five against Villa. 5-1 was the final score. Villa, their one bright spot was Musa Diaby scored, their new signing. But Isak was immense. He was absolutely insane, making my fantasy team very much appreciative of him. Harvey Barnes scored as well, and so did Callum Wilson. And I forget who the other goal was for Newcastle, but it was 5-1. I mean, Newcastle were all over Villa this entire game. Tyrone Mings, unfortunately, did go down with an injury, so that one does hurt Villa. But
mm.
they do have Diego Carlos and Pau Torres, so might not be the worst thing. Konza was absolutely shocking in this game. Had a terrible giveaway leading to a goal. And yeah, I think that Newcastle are a legitimate scary team. Man City does play them this weekend, so that could be the first real cracker of the season.
Yeah, that could already be a title decider, I think, which is mad to think about. But yeah, no, I've already said it already. I don't think Arsenal's going to be one that challenges City this season. It's going to be Newcastle because they already look brilliant. I mean, Tonali with that goal, just like what a
Oh,
way to
Tonali had the
announce
other
yourself.
goal. He had the
Yeah,
first one. That's right.
yeah, just what a way to announce yourself. And then even then, just the forwards, Isaac and Wilson. Like I know Wilson came on for Isaac, but my goodness, what a nice problem to have with those two forwards. Either Isaac or going with Wilson. Like I know Isaac scored 2 goals. You'll be happy with that. You had him in your FBL team anyway.
Yeah, I did, and he's going to be the starter for Newcastle. He's the better of the two. Wilson obviously had a phenomenal season last year. He scored 17 goals, but Isak was the guy that they got for 70 million. I mean, they're not going to bench him, but
Well, well, obviously not. But
yeah,
like I'm
he's
just saying,
phenomenal.
what a nice substitute to have in Callum
It's a
Wilson.
great 1-2 punch. It
Yeah.
really is because when one gets tired, you have the other one, and it's a good 1-2 punch duo. And yeah, one that Newcastle definitely are going to enjoy this season. I mean, they had spurts of it last year, but both of them had their. I mean, Isaac especially had injury problems, but yeah, it's a good 1-2. And Villa just were not in this game at all. I think they'll
No, they
rebound.
weren't.
I think they'll rebound. They got a good squad.
They
It's
play
just
Everton.
they were just
Yeah.
absolutely outclassed in every facet of this game. But great result for Newcastle and one that I definitely think has put the league on notice.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Even Harvey Barnes got involved too. I mean, he's only just made
Yeah.
himself at home now after being relegated last season with Leicester City, but it looks like he'll also have some sort of role too in this team.
Yeah, already has as many goals as Alan St. Maximin did last year. But Yeah, we're gonna move on from that one to Brighton beating Luton 4-1. Not really shocked here. I mean, Brighton were all over Luton the whole game. I'm surprised Luton scored a goal, frankly. But Brighton in
They
the
played
post
okay.
McAllister Saicedo era looked really good. I mean, Pascal Gross was great. Evan Ferguson scored a goal. You know, the Irish boy wonder.
Yeah, I
And
was
yeah,
happy about
they
that.
well obviously, and then they looked good defensively too. Lewis Dunk had a decent game as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know you're saying that Luton didn't play that well, but they actually did play well for most of the game. It was the penalty I think that really took them out of the game. And then even then you had the one mistake by that defender for the I think it was the third goal. Yeah, no. I can't believe that. That's the one that really disappointed me.
Yeah.
But look, it's only one game for Luton. We still haven't seen them fully play yet because I do believe Brighton will find themselves again back in top five anyway. Like they're a really good team. I mean, even Milner had a good game as well.
Yeah. Ageless wonder James Milner. I mean, he's phenomenal. I mean, he's played for both City and
Yeah, I
Liverpool.
know. We can both talk about him
Yeah,
for
he's
hours
awesome. I
on
mean, I
end.
love Milner, man.
Yeah.
But he's potentially going to break the all-time appearances record for the league, which I hope he does. I mean,
I hope he
he
does
absolutely
too.
deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. I think Gareth Barry currently holds it. I mean, he was another phenomenal player in his own right. Also played for City. But yeah, I mean, he's Milner's looking to break that, and I think he will. I mean, he played really well for Brighton. He's a steady player. He's a very steady player. Has been his whole career, and he's
Yeah.
had success too. He's won a Champions League. He's won several league titles. He absolutely deserves it. I'm happy
He'll
for him.
Yeah, he'll fit right in with Brighton anyway, I'd say. Like he I think he works better now for their system, trying to have a blend of, old, wise veteran leadership and then also with the youngsters now too.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, Brighton had a convincing win, and yeah, we got one more game to talk about today, and that is one more Premier League game, I should say, and that is Manchester United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man, you did win 1-0. Rafael Varane scoring the lonely goal. But oh boy, United were lucky.
It
When
was
I said
shocking.
they were horrible, I mean
Shocking.
the goal was completely against the run of play. Wolves dominated. If Fabio Silva could do anything, Wolves would have won this game 3-1.
Mm,
And then also if the referees were competent. Andre
right.
Onana had a decent game. He did have a decent game. He made some big saves, but he should have had a penalty called against him. He went in for a punch. The ball wasn't even near the play, and he took out Sasha Kalajdzic and I believe Max Kilman, two Wolves players. Took out both of them, and the penalty was not called. There's a YouTuber. His name is Miki Yossi. He's on the smaller side, but he's a Man U fan, and I commented on one of his posts, and it was one of him reviewing Man U's performance, and he even said Onana's lucky. He commented to my post and said Onana was lucky. Man U fans all over the place are saying Onana was lucky because he really was. The referee and the VAR have both been binged for the next game. They are not going to be
Yeah.
involved. The league even sent an apology to Brighton, or not to Brighton, to Wolves. Gary O'Neill's side really did deserve better. Wolverhampton, I mean, I'm not really confident in them, but after this performance, I can at least say that they have a chance. Pedro Neto is a phenomenal player. I forgot he was there. You know, when the penalty claim happened, I'm sure he said very false to it as well. To the call, but Pedro Neto looked really good. Gomez in the middle looked phenomenal. I mean, he was a phenomenal player for them. Um, and yeah, Jose Sa had a decent game. Tillman defense. Wolves looked okay. They looked okay.
Yeah, no, I was not able to watch this game, but like just hearing everything and just seeing all the stuff on social media, United, they did not play well. I mean, even looking at their lineup, I, what are they thinking? Just why is Garnacho playing even? And then Anthony still gets his game time. Jeez.
I'm gonna be honest. Sancho, when he came on, was one of United's best players. He was driving attacks with Rashford, linking up with him really nicely. Garnacho didn't do anything. Anthony might be he might be worse than Mudryk. I mean, like
Yeah.
he's that bad. He's not good. He's not a good player.
How do they
He's
get their game?
yeah,
Seriously.
he was shocking. Um, but Man U, I mean, Casemiro was decent. Bruno Fernandes had a good game. He dinking over passes for guys. Wan-Bissaka was okay. He had the assist for the goal, but yeah, I mean, overall, United definitely got away with one.
Yeah,
And
even the likes of Shaw, like why is Luke Shaw still playing? Like
well, he had a decent season last year.
I'd still have Malacia over in all
Well,
honesty.
yeah, I do too, but still, Shaw's their guy. But yeah. Anyways, moving on from that game and the Premier League for the weekend, we are going to talk about one game in Germany, and it's probably a good thing Mr. Boyven's not here because he would probably cry in front of us while this happened, and that is the
I
fact that
was talking about it earlier too. Yeah.
yeah, you did talk about it earlier, and that is the fact that RB Leipzig did beat Bayern Munich 3-0 in the German Super Cup. Sven Ulreich looked awful. Danny Olmo scores a hat trick. Kane unfortunately didn't do anything, didn't lift his first trophy, but
He looked
Leipzig
confused
dominated this
too.
game.
He
Like
looked gone.
he did look confused. He must not understand German yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say with that penalty shout, he was like gonna go over and he was just like, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Olmo was easily the player of the match. I mean, he was phenomenal. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be too troubled if I was a Bayern fan. I think just let Kane adapt, get some time in, and then eventually he'll come good. But Leipzig clearly still a decent team despite losing Conrad Leimer and Christopher Nkunku. So good for them. Olmo is a
And some
great
Muesli.
player. And Soboslai, yeah. I mean, they lost him as well. So a good win for them. I mean, they win the German Super Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to judge teams off one game because, like, in a way, it's kind of like the Community Shield as well. Like, you can't really say City are, like, are worse than
Yeah,
Arsenal.
exactly. But it looks like Leipzig might be Bayern's kryptonite because this is now two games in a row where Bayern failed to beat them. But we shall see. Moving on from that game to La Liga, we're going to talk about one game, and that is the fact that Real Madrid did win their game over Bilbao 2-0. Eder Militao, unfortunately, did tear his ACL. He's out for a while. But Jude Bellingham got his first goal. That was absolutely huge. Madrid did win the game.
Yeah, no, it's a good start, for Madrid's campaign. Uh, with losing Militao, it's gonna be tough because it seems like they're losing a few players now. I would not be surprised if they have a bit of a down season.
Yeah, I mean, they do thankfully have depth in center back. They have Rudiger, they have David Alaba. They also have Nacho Fernandez who can play the position, the new club captain. So they do have some depth, but yeah, Militao's a huge loss. He's easily been their best defender for the last couple of years. But the other good news for Madrid is that Barcelona did not pick up a win. They tied. So it could be a wide open league this year. Atletico Madrid did win their game. So I mean, we could be looking at a wide open La Liga this year, but we shall see with
Fun.
Madrid's injuries. Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
yeah, moving on from that game to France, we're going to talk about one game there, and that is PSG. They tied 0-0. The post
Ah,
Neymar Messi era has gotten off to about as well of a start as one could hope for any neutral, and that is PSG faltering. Mbappe did not play this game. He was still throwing a pouty fit, or PSG was also still throwing a pouty fit. But let me just say this: this team has the backbone of a snail, aka they have no backbone. They tell Mbappe that he's out, that he's not going to practice for this team, that
yeah.
they're basically going to force him to sign a contract. And then what do they do? Like 2 weeks later, they tell him he's back in training after they just tie 0-0. Sad, absolutely pathetic. If you are a PSG fan looking at this, you got to think that your club has no spine because they don't.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on them. But I don't even know where to start with this. PSG, that they're not gonna have good season. I don't think I think this actually starts their downfall a little bit. Not
It
even
could,
gonna lie.
it really could. I mean, Luis Enrique is a decent coach, but yeah, not how he would want to start his tenure as PSG boss. But yeah. Anyways, moving on from that to the Women's World Cup. England did beat Colombia 2-1. They are playing Australia tonight. That's for a spot in the final. Australia winning their game as well in penalties over France. France was definitely one of the favorites, so that's a good win for Australia. Spain beat the Netherlands, and then they actually did play Sweden last night. It was a crazy ending. Goals scored in the 81st, 88th, and 89th minutes, respectively. The 88th was the tying goal for Sweden, then Spain scored right after that. Spain is in the final of the Women's World Cup. I think they have a great shot at winning it. Alexia Putellas hasn't even been their star player of this tournament, and Spain's still doing well. So Spain's in the final. Sweden, the Netherlands are out, and then England playing Australia today to determine who the World Cup final is.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was fast asleep during this game.
Oh, so was I. I mean, we talked about the timings last week.
Yeah,
The timings are still terrible. And I really hope to tune into the final because, frankly, the semifinal it's not happening. It's going to be played at like 4 a.m. Eastern time. I can watch the highlights, but that's probably going to
yeah.
be it. I'm rooting for England, mostly because if their women's team wins, that would just be absolutely hilarious. That their men's team can't do anything and their women's team is
Ironic, yeah.
winning the Euros and then potentially the World Cup. That would be funny. But yeah, I mean, it's a good win for them if they are able to make it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'd be very ironic if they are to do that. And then also to do it over then Spain, because it looks like that they're gonna be doing their little run where they won the Euros, the World Cup, then kind of back to back,
Yeah,
because that's what Spain did, yeah.
they could
Well,
be
well,
a
the men's did
potential the
specifically, but
men's Spain team.
yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that all pans out. But
But for the record, I'm not rooting for England.
well,
Not rooting for
I
them.
know you aren't, but yeah. Um. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, Ireland and Canada. I mean, we got knocked out in the same time in the same
Yeah.
group, so we both got sent home sad. But yeah, moving on from that to the final thing we're going to talk about today, and that is the League's Cup. Miami is going to play Philadelphia tonight as Miami won against your Charlotte for nothing.
Mm,
Charlotte wasn't even in that game. I told you that was going to happen. And then Philadelphia
I thought
did
that had
beat.
a bit of fight.
Yeah, that no, they rolled over and died. And
Yeah,
then
thanks for that.
yeah, we got knocked out by Querétaro on penalties, but they got knocked out by Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is playing uh, Miami today in Philly. I'm really hoping the Union win. I want Miami out, but it is what it is. Monterrey stormed back to beat LAFC 3-2 as well. So they are setting up a date with Nashville.
Yeah, no, all I can say is I'm really disappointed in my team. This is embarrassing, really, just to say the least. I don't know where we go from here because we're probably not even going to make the playoffs, and we're seemingly like we're going to be the only expansion team which really sees no immediate success just because we have such poor management. As
Minnesota took a couple of years. They were awful when they first came in the league. So you're not alone. But they're good now. So
Yeah, true. Well, also getting back to like the League Cups as well. Very disappointing in LAFC. Very disappointing.
that was that was a PSG sized choke job. Or Arsenal sized choke job. They were up 2-0. They go into the second half, they lose. They lose the game 3-2. Monterrey
Mhm.
stormed back. Funes Mori looked like an absolute tank. And LAFC lost. I mean, in the Rose Bowl too. They expanded the stadium just for this game, and LAFC draw up a goose egg in the second half. They couldn't do anything. They missed Carlos Vela. Buanga was phenomenal as he is, but he couldn't do it himself. And yeah, that was a shocking loss.
Yeah, no, agree. I was really expecting them to make the final and then play Miami, but we're not getting that now.
Nope, no, we're not. But the last team we're going to talk about today is Nashville. Now, there's two. They beat Minnesota 5-0 to make the semifinal. I mean, that game was done and dusted. Minnesota, the guy sent off. Hani Mukhtar scored. Nashville had a great day. Surridge got one too. But the game we're going to talk about is the game before that against Club America. Now, this game was 2-1 for Club America up until the 90 plus 9. Sam Surridge, their new signing from Nottingham Forest, comes on, scores the late tying goal to send it to penalties. Now, what made this game absolutely insane was the fact that it went to penalties. I mean, that's normal in this tournament, but Club America thought that they won. Their keeper saves the penalty, and then they begin celebrating. This celebrating goes on for about 10 minutes. Fans storm the pitch. Some Nashville fans left. It turns out that while this was happening, VAR was checking the keeper's positioning on the line. He was off his line. He stepped forward and
Unreal.
saved the penalty. This game got thrown back right into the shootout. They realized what happened. So the shootout happened. The guy got a second chance to score his penalty, and he does. Then Jonathan Dos Santos comes up, spanks it off the crossbar. Nashville's Daniel Lovitz comes in, scores the winning penalty, changing the result of the game. Nashville win and go on to play Monterrey.
Talk
Club
about a
America
vibe
thought that
killer.
Club America thought that they had won, but no,
Yeah, vibe
they're
killer right there.
massive.
I'd hate to be in that situation because like having to go back into that thinking that you'd won. I mean, just getting it off the crossbar. That's just pure mind games. Just because like you're just still in that zone of trying to celebrate. Adrenaline pumping through. You're feeling euphoric, and then having to like lock your mind back in. Yeah, no, that's just killer.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was, and I couldn't be happier though. I was really hoping America get knocked out, and they did. So Nashville are now in the semis. They beat Minnesota after that, so they're going to be playing Monterrey, and then Philly will be playing Miami. But this was unlike anything I've ever seen before, where it took that long to to determine the game. I mean,
Yeah.
I the funny thing is I was told about it in a Discord channel that this had happened, and I was like, I got to switch back to that game now. Like that's insane. Like where a penalty shootout has they actually called the infringement on the keeper, which to be fair, it was the right call, but that was just crazy.
Yeah, I can't think of really anything that like is relatable to that. Like
There
the only
isn't
thing,
any.
yeah, like the only thing that can really pop into my head is like that one game that United had against Brighton a couple seasons ago, where like they were reviewing it after full time for the penalty, and then they end up winning. But like that
Yeah,
that that's it.
that's fair, and that's even still a different scenario than this. So yeah, that's really all I got to say. But that will do it for us this week. We talked about a lot of stuff. We had a lot to cover, and we talked about a lot of transfers, including Neymar going from PSG to Al Hilal. We really weren't fans of this one. We talked about David Raya, among others, Harry Kane and Kepa included. We then went into some rumors talking about Harry Maguire, Michael Olise, and Yassine Bounou. We then covered a bunch of Premier League games that have happened this week, including Arsenal, City, Newcastle, and Liverpool. And then we went into Germany, Spain, and PSG, covering a game each there. Uh, some interesting results that happened. And then we talked about the Women's World Cup, the semifinals are almost done there. The final is almost set for them. It will be Spain against either one of Australia or England. And then we finally ended with the Leagues Cup with Miami triumphing over Charlotte to make the semifinals against Philadelphia, and then Nashville storming back to face Monterrey. That'll do it from us this week. As always, I am Grayson Mortimer,
I'm Evan McGuire.
and we will see you next time.